It's officially Christmas this week, and we are just past our risk limit. But it's okay, because as long as we're making money, we're free. Welcome back to the Trading Desk. My name is Ebube, and this is the Popcorn for Dinner podcast. Here on the Trading Desk, we delve deeply into the nuances of specific events and character motivations in HBO's industry, as a follow-up to the more all-encompassing, detailed breakdowns done by Bankole and Ayo, which drop every Sunday night right after the episodes air. Perfect for a morning commute too, I should add. We're also going to preview the new episode that's coming this weekend on Sunday, episode 5 of Industry Season 3. We are definitely looking forward to this, and we've seen the preview. We know, well, we have an idea of what's coming, and we're going to break it all down. This week, though, on the show in episode 4, we got a closer look at everyone's favorite foul-mouthed adrenaline junkie, Rishi Ramdani, as the show finally takes a moment to give us a window into what makes him tick. He's a trader, so pun slightly intended. You and I won't be doing this alone, however, as today's guest is the one person who can probably give better ideas for Rishi's new estate. More so than Rishi himself. The one, the only, Ayisha. Welcome.
Hello.
How are you feeling today?
When you said Christmas, I got like a jump scare. I was like, Christmas? It's getting excited.
Yeah, it is. It is Christmas in the show this week. Everybody's kind of preparing for the holidays. That's why Rishi's thinking of what to do with his property. People are a little bit cold. We can see a few Christmas trees around.
Yes, it is Christmas.
Going well.
There's Christmas party going on. Strangely, in a random pub or bar, which I thought was a weird location for that party, but okay. But Christmas is fantastic. Isn't Christmas so great?
No, it is.
The best.
I agree.
Especially
Christmas
a white
is fantastic.
Christmas, right? Amazing.
Yeah, maybe that's why they call this episode White Mischief, among other reasons.
Exactly. It's a white Christmas filled with snow and joy and happiness.
Snow and joy and happiness. Yeah, sure. Snow and joy and happiness. Everything there
Snow,
can
joy,
have
and
a
happiness.
second double meaning, but it's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. This is industry after all. You are not
Industry,
really a
baby.
guest, of course, but you are here in an official capacity as the head of the Harper Detractor Club. So I'm very happy to welcome you here for that reason. And of course, you are also an architect, which is cool. So I'm going to have some questions for you there.
Somewhat, one could say. I think it's really interesting seeing kind of. First of all, I zoomed in on what he was showing. He's basically showing like a render of the space, how the space would look, because he's imagining the architect did like a render of it. And the render, it's very, very interesting. First of all, the render was kind of crap, but actually not that bad. It was okay.
Can you actually help me understand what was crap about it, just from like a layman perspective?
So, okay. I've thought about this quite a lot, as you can imagine. Essentially, how you visualize your design is very different from the actual strength of your design. So visualization is like an entirely different, separate process post you realizing your, that's the realization of your design. You know what I mean? So you have to get design first. So I think what was crap about it was the design of it was crap, and also was very, very typical of a reno of a historical property, country estate. And actually, I think it's very, very common I wouldn't even say country estates, but obviously in the UK, we have a lot of historical buildings. And they're not just buildings. Historical buildings are not just like the House of Parliament or the Buckingham Palace. They're most buildings are grade listed, and grade 1 is the highest. So in the UK, it's really hard to get anything through because there's a really strict planning system, and there are many different stages you have to go through because everything is really coveted by the history. And it's the easiest thing to get going would probably be a restoration project for a project that's like highly grade listed.
Gotcha.
And a building like his, a house like his, would be at least, I would say, grade 2 star listed, which is like just below grade 1 or like grade 2 and grade 1 are high, and grade 3 and so on and so forth. So yeah, so it makes it hard for him to do things anyway. So I understood his frustration, but I also thought at the same time, all
What did
his
you expect?
renovations might not be as easy, like approving it with the
Yeah.
council necessarily, especially because of what that pavilion was housing
Yeah.
necessarily for the council. But that's entirely separate. Like we can just kind of like leave that in the air. Perhaps he just had
Hmm.
so much money to kind of, I don't know, get it through the council. But it is quite a difficult system, and it's actually why you don't often see, if you see new builds in the UK, you often don't necessarily see them new build on the exterior, because like the facades are like really, really, really hard to
Gotcha.
change in certain areas that are like guarded by the planning system necessarily. But yeah, design itself was just kind of like, and I think actually design was an epitome for kind of like the fictitious aspect of this episode, in the sense that everybody
Okay.
wants to be something and they don't
Yeah.
necessarily realize that the thing that they actually want to be is is kind of like a caricature representation of what they want to become. So like it's just exactly as Rishi assumed that his wife's money was from her parents, because he assumes that someone of her class looking like
Yeah.
her would have parents that are rich. But in reality, most of those rich families are not liquid. They just have assets.
Exactly. We got an idea of what this is doing to Rishi mentally, which is kind of a
Yes.
backdrop for what's going on in this episode, right?
Yeah,
One of the reasons I
exactly.
want you to sort of explain that is because Rishi is going through a lot of stress, and he's going through a lot of self-worth evaluation, because I think he has some
He is.
internalized issues and self-image issues that obviously
Yeah.
translates to the way he approaches risk in his personal life and in his work life. So they show us his accounts when he's checking his bank app on his phone, and it's like, oh my god,
What
like
the fuck was that?
this
First
is
of all,
insane.
I'm so, so sorry. I have so much to say about Rishi's actions in this episode. I have so
I know you
much to
do.
say. And I just don't understand. 200 million? Like how much you're owing? Like I'm so sorry. Also, that
Is it 200
his
million or
friend that was,
200,000?
no, he's only 200,000, but he was owing
Oh yes,
at least
yes.
that amount to the bank.
Hmm.
I
Yeah,
didn't
yeah,
even
yeah.
know you could owe a bank.
You
I
can
didn't even know you
definitely
could owe
owe
a
a bank.
bank.
Most people who owe banks. Let's
No,
just
no, I mean, yes, obviously owe a bank. I know in that way, but I didn't know
yeah,
like as working for a bank as a trader, you can
yeah,
owe
because
that
he's
much.
over leveraged.
Yeah, exactly. And I didn't even think that that was like legal. Like, is that even legal? I mean, I know
Well, now you know why Anraj is
raised
sweating.
his risk limit, but like, yeah, I know why Anuraj was sweating. I got it all, but I was also just like kind of thinking in the back of my head, there's just no way this is possible. And then I was like, actually, this is possible. This is
Hmm.
insane. Like, this is insanity. Like, this is not real. But anyway, yeah, I think you're asking like a few questions in one, because like in that, so I'll answer both of them. I think Rishi's self-worth is highlighted in this episode, and I do think it does, as the boy said, feed into his masculinity as well,
Hmm.
because there was a lot from his wife saying about what makes a man, and I do think it is to do with his self-worth, in terms of he is deeply insecure and does all these things to kind of fill some void necessarily.
Yeah,
But I just don't necessarily know if that's a conscious problem for him, because I
yeah.
feel like this episode is a masterclass in in it just is the perfect representation of the British class system. And it shows you
Very much
that
so.
even in the architecture as well. Like everything is a masterclass in showing. And if you are like well acquainted with it, every word of this episode is like jarring to you. You're
Yeah,
watching it going, "What the fuck? I can't believe they said
lots
that.
of
I can't believe
detail
they
in how
said
they
this."
portrayed specific things in this episode. Yeah,
Exactly. And I think Rishi is clawing to be in this upper class so badly. And in order to do that, he does all these things to fit in.
yeah.
And it's very similar to what I forgot her name. She was playing golf and Eric came to see her and she's one of the directors. I forgot her
Wilhelmina.
name.
Wilhelmina Fassbinder.
Wilhelmina, exactly. Wilhelmina playing nighttime golf. This is like
I know,
something
right?
I need
Who do
to
you
get
think you are,
on. Like,
Batman?
why have I not been playing nighttime golf my life? Also, the game that Henry Mark was playing down there, which looked like a handball squash,
Yeah, it's called Fives.
and I was like, I'd never played that before either. But that also sounds fun because I love squash, so maybe I should play fives now. Anyway,
Maybe.
back to Wilhelmina. She said to Eric, you think you're at the top of the ladder, but you really are at the bottom of another ladder. And I
Yes.
do think that's Rishi. Rishi fought so
Hmm.
hard to be at this point, to be at the top, in upper class. And now he's there and he realizes that he is at the bottom of the ladder again. Also, no amount of money can buy him into that. And it's shown explicitly when he's outside walking with his friend and they don't recognize him. And he was like, I own this place. And he's like, oh, Mr. Ramadani, I didn't see you there. It's like you
That
can't
kind of
buy
annoyed me.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really annoying. But again, so common. And again, it just shows how Mickey and Conrad really actually what they're writing is realism. Like this is real. Like this is exactly the level of microaggression that you would get on this side of the pond.
Yeah.
That's how it works. So I just felt like that was just so of a piece. But yeah, he's fighting so hard to be part of this upper class and doing all these things, like having his country home, but yet he's still driving a Lamborghini through it. So it's like there's
Yep.
some kind of discongruence with him in some terms of he is fighting to be part of this upper class
But he's too new
and
money for his own good.
trying to be too many new money for his own good. Yes, I think, but I think it's showing a lack of understanding for the whole thing. Because if he
Yeah.
really wanted to be part of upper class and understand them, he would know that they don't flash their money around. They're actually very, very kind of, low key with everything.
Quiet
And
luxury.
their
Very
money, yes,
demure.
it's like their
Very mindful.
money, very demure, very mindful. Their money is more in their assets and kind of, where you see them live or etc. locations and stuff. But I think more importantly, what was interesting about it was he's fighting so hard to be part of this upper class, which his wife is in. And all along, he didn't even need to do any of that to get his wife because the person his wife loves is the Rishi that comes from Stratford.
Yeah.
So it's really funny that he's
Which is
fighting so
interesting in
hard to
itself.
get this
There's so much you can
ideal.
unpack just from that.
Yeah, to get this ideal of English country rose, wife, country home, you know, uh the dog, even down to the dog, everything.
Especially the dog,
And
maybe.
it's just so funny because it just shows a deep misunderstanding for what exactly it means to be within that class, and also him fighting for something that isn't necessarily real. And I just think it's a thing of the power that you give things, because he's given this so much power, which
Hmm.
is why I think the conversation with his wife was so monumental. And I think it's the reason why I thought this episode was so good, and that could have been a movie within itself, in that she completely dismantles everything he's ever thought
Yeah.
about that in a single conversation. And she's like, what do you you're wrong. This isn't what it is.
I did really like her line at the end of the episode too. The one where she says, it's a lot easier to raise strong boys than to fix
Oh
broken men.
yes. Yeah, but
Very
she's a
poignant.
podcaster.
I know, right?
It's very very clear, kind of no, she was written
It's
so
quite a sound bite right
well.
there, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was written so well. It's very very clear what
and
type of
played so
podcast she
well too.
has.
Like, really great performance.
I can predict that she's on there talking about self-development.
Yep.
And did they say what her podcast was about on the show? Did
No,
they say
she
that?
just didn't actually say, but we can tell that she has one and that she
Oh
guests on
yeah,
others too. Yeah.
she's talking about self-development and how to step into yourself, how to
Hmm.
own, how to own a room, or how to be comfortable with your flaws or something. And I just know that's it. And I just those when she said that to him, I was like, oh, the podcasts are coming out, isn't it? Of course. But yeah, she was written so well. I actually really loved her. I really loved her,
I'm
which
glad.
is like no surprise to anyone
Yeah,
because
I can't even pretend to be shocked.
she is like just a bit of me. I actually did walk away from this episode thinking, am I Diana? And I actually was really worried for a second. I was like, what if I could be
I
Diana?
don't
And I
think
was
you need
actually
to
kind of
worry too much
stressed.
about that. It's okay. What I will
But
say
yeah,
though is, of course, Diana, the baby, all these things contribute, and the baby's name is Hugo, by the way. But all these things contribute to the
of
stress
course.
because Rishi has a lot of stakes, of course, to take care of. There are things that are worrying him, and then even at work, right? He has to deal with not just the risk department who
Yeah.
have been hounding him for what he's doing. He's leveraged
Hmm.
very, very crazily on Sterling. And then he has Anraj involved too. And I feel like with HR calling him, that's also very funny because it's like he pretends not to be stressed about that, but I think he kind of is because if he loses that bravado, he would have to change himself a bit, and I don't think he's ready to do that. So
Oh, so you think he's worried about the confrontation with HR
I think he's actually a
in
little bit
terms
worried
of
because when they call, he's a little bit pensive, and he's like, okay, yeah, no, it's not risk, it's HR, and then he goes there and then he does his normal thing, but I think that he knows deep down that it could go quite badly. But one of my favorite things about that whole interaction was the fact that there is actually, I'm pretty sure, a Reddit or like some kind of forum where people are collecting like overheard lines at Pierpoint. And we are one of such places actually because we on this podcast discuss overheard lines at Pierpoint from like Rishi, Jackie, and stuff like that.
yeah,
So
we do.
so it,
Yeah,
it felt
exactly.
low key like a nod to like us
True.
as such forums and stuff like that. I was like, is this us? Are
Yeah.
you talking about us? But yeah, that
Is
was
it
funny to
me?
me. No, genuinely.
Also, you realize he's working there for 15 years. When he goes to the cafe with Sweet Pea, it's a review. They're going to the cafe because
Yeah.
he is her boss,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's
I
a
know.
review.
Yes, it
And
is.
in the review, he's talking about all the things he's talking about. I was just thinking to myself, imagine that you're going to do a review with your boss and
Yeah.
you're begging him to think about your work and not like your private parts or something.
Well, here's the thing, right? We did say, or at least I said, that going into this episode, I had four words in my mind, thanks to a conversation I had with Bankole beforehand: blood, sweat, tears, and OnlyFans.
This episode made me realize that they're not playing in the small leagues anymore. This isn't like, I don't know, this isn't like your like basketball team that you play with like your friends, or maybe let's use the UK version. This isn't like your team like Northampton where you play with
Okay.
like your small league. We're in Premier League now. We're playing in Prem.
No,
We are
100%. That's what I'm telling
playing
you.
in
We're in the
Prem
big
right
leagues.
now. Let me tell you, because that, first of all, I was watching this and I was like, okay, he's watching this. And I was just like rolling my eyes, like, of course, Rishi, of course you're watching this. Like, I mean, your wife is like 2 seconds away, but of course you're watching this.
And then he's
And
holding the baby.
and then I saw the baby, and then I saw the blood, and I was like, listen, this is the shit I live for. This is the shit I'm on earth for, to
You
see
want
stuff
this
like
level of
this.
chaos and debauchery.
No, because I love chaos, and I also love. I like when people take it to the extent that they can take it to.
I mean, let's actually go to one of the bigger sources of stress for him, the whole gambling thing right now.
Yeah.
I think first I have to probably bring up the few detractors from this episode. I think in general people liked this episode, but there definitely are people
Yes. Let's talk about
who
that.
are
Uh huh.
who are saying that this episode was not a necessary one. We have people saying stuff like the episode is like a 3 out of 10, right? We're on the verge of Yasmin and Harper succeeding. This is actually from a comment on the coverage by Bankole and Ayo on
Yeah.
this
So,
particular episode,
by the
right?
way,
And there's
just
only 10
realize
minutes
that we
in relation to
actually
the season.
do see your comments and we care. So, like, even if it's still comment, thanks. Anyway,
Yeah,
that's no problem.
we love the comments. We definitely love having these conversations. And the thing is, we definitely disagree that it's not a good episode. We like the episode. I think it's quite a good one. But the people who don't like it seem to feel like this was a lot of filler. That, for
Okay,
example,
okay,
we didn't need to spend this much time with someone like Rishi because the season had
okay,
essentially
okay.
reached, starting to reach a high point, rising action
Okay.
in terms of like Yasmin, Harper, and all the other stuff. But I
Yes.
do
Yeah.
think that there's relevance that we got from this episode that will kind of play a role in future episodes because you don't know what's coming, right? So I just wanted to kind of keep that in mind. Having said that, though, the gambling that Rishi goes through here, right? He clearly has a gambling addiction, and that is
Wait, wait,
an
wait, 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 wait. I want to go back to this reception thing because I actually am
okay,
interested by this discourse.
okay.
I have thought about this, especially which you're not saying here, but we spoke about. It's like you, I think you said you and Bankley had a somewhat apprehension coming into this episode, and I find that really interesting. I mean, I
In
didn't,
terms of how
but
people might receive it,
might
because
receive it.
because
Yeah,
because not everybody
exactly.
wants like a because we weren't sure how people would take an episode that is just like focused on simply Rishi, especially after everything that happened in episode 3 in Switzerland.
Yes, I definitely get that. But I also think that I don't know. I mean, I guess to me it just depends on what sort of like TV watcher that you are, really.
Yeah,
I think some people are very plot driven and some people are character driven. And I hate to make it so kind of binary, but if you're character driven, you would really like this episode, I think, because first of all, I mean, obviously you like it because it's an episode focused on one person, but I do think getting that complete picture does give it so much richness. But I think the reason why I think this episode is important because I think Mickey and Conrad just really wanted to go ham on like I said, British class system, somewhat coveted microaggressions, like gambling, the risk averse nature of being in the finance industry. Like they wanted an episode to like just fully go ham on that. So I feel like I get it, but for that purpose I will kind of defend the episode a bit. But yeah, you can go on to the gambling.
yeah. No, those are worthy reasons to defend the episode. In truth, all
Can
the
you see
issues that
me?
are
Can you see
portrayed.
my growth? I'm defending an episode now.
I know this is crazy. I'm glad to be the one present. Um, I can definitely say that the gambling, all the other issues as well. Many of these things I think are put in the show more of as a cautionary tale rather than an ad or to glorify them because Rishi does suffer quite a lot here.
When I lost faith in this man was when he went
Oh,
to the fucking strip club with his money to spend. I'm like, you
uh,
just got your money back. Is it really the strip club that you're going to? I was like, okay, I'm so sorry. I cannot support this from you. Like, is this really the place that you're going to go to after Nick? Like, I'm so sorry. Go home. Go home. Drink yourself to
yeah,
death or just go home.
like I
Like,
said,
the strip
adrenaline
club,
junkie.
really?
He just
And when
wants
he got
to be in that lifestyle.
and when he got beat up, I was like, get him again. Get him again. Actually.
I mean, he has to go
Like,
straight to work
actually.
like that, right? So yeah, consequences for sure. Thinking about episode 5 now, right? Looking at the preview, there's a few things in there, right? We see Eric in a costume. We see Yasmin wearing a wig and sweater that basically make me feel like she's in a costume too, like she's trying to be Diana, like Princess Diana. Um, that's what that.
Oh,
I mean, yeah, because like the Harvard
that's
sweater and like this, yeah, that's what I'm getting from it
that's
anyway. So it seems
I
like
have
there's some kind of costume party in there, and
yes.
quite importantly, we see a hearing in front of an audience. We see Henry Muck, and we see Robert being the one to represent Pierpoint at said hearing.
Yes.
So clearly, the
Yes.
chickens are coming home to roost. Every
I
episode time is
think
passing, and it
yeah.
looks like we've now reached a point where the consequences are sort of manifesting in legal ways for the whole Lulu
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how Robert handles that and how much more we'll learn about Henry Muck's outlook on life and his general attitude towards the damage that
Outlook
he's
on
done.
life.
Yeah, his outlook on life in terms of this business and what it means to him. Because he said that he's doing it for a reason. He said he's doing it because it means something to him. It's not just to make money or to play some game, even though people are clearly pawns to him.
I don't
But
think
I
so.
think in general, I think some of them are, and his attitude to as well towards the people he's working with. So Robert definitely has a lot to do in the coming episode, and I'm curious to see how that plays out. I mean, what say you?
I mean, Robbie has his glasses on. He's ready to be a smart boy for trial. So
Yeah.
we're going to see. Well, I mean, I have so many thoughts. I just feel like yes, he's being probably. I mean, I'll just start with a quick prediction. Well, it's not really a prediction, but from reading it, it just seems like they're scapegoating Roberts. Like I feel like everything about Lumi has been wrong from the start, and I think they
Hmm.
scapegoated
Like
Eric by
philosophically?
sending. By no. I think as in like the higher ups knew that Lumi was not necessarily that strong a while back, but had to go through with it still. And I think Lumi is actually a way deeper hole than anyone is aware of now, probably will be aware of in the next episode. And I think the higher
Hmm.
ups knew that. And I think that's why Eric went instead of Adler. I think Adler was not on vacation. He just didn't want to be the face of the downfall. And I think Eric also is going to be the face of the downfall now. And they're going to, I mean, there's a line where he's saying that they're kind of hanging him out to dry or something like that. I can't say verbatim, but something like that. So yeah, I'm interested to see that for sure. I love a trial scene, and I'm going to see that. But I also think I just I just what is with the costumes? I can't let this go. Like what is?
It's interesting. Let me just put it that way.
I
It's
mean,
a
I'm
nice
so
thing.
sorry. I don't really enjoy fun or fun.
I can
LOL.
understand that. I can
I
understand
don't
that.
really
Maybe you want something
enjoy
a bit more serious, but
I don't enjoy like dressing up and like I want to see you in your trousers. Like I'm so confused. I don't know. But yeah, I'm intrigued. It's fine. I'm intrigued to see if I'll be proven wrong by this. I just can't. It's so bizarre to me what the costumes are. But moving away from the costumes,
you
there's
mentioned
so much in
Biladla.
this. Yes, there's so much
What
in
do you
this
think
in
his
this
role is?
episode. I think
Because you talked about
that
what he like where he's probably been and what he might reveal. Like, do you think he's gonna say do you think this is what we see in the trailer is Eric like confronting him, sort of being like, what are we doing here?
no, I think Pierre Point is in big trouble,
Okay.
and I think that it's going to be revealed that they're in bigger trouble than any, and it's bigger than Eric. And I mean, everything's bigger than Eric, really, but
Pretty much.
it's even bigger than Adler. And I think it's like it's Pierre Point's in trouble because I'm interested by the fact that Adler seems to be wearing his home clothes and seems to be in his home. It doesn't seem
Hmm.
like he's in an office. And that's very
Okay.
interesting to me. So those scenes usually are orchestrated with like a kind of like they do it in their home because you feel comfortable there, so you usually admit something that's kind of vulnerable or something like that. And I don't know, I mean, I just feel like people are in trouble, and I feel like this is the Lumi thing is bigger than everyone. I definitely don't think Eric is doing any confronting. I think Eric is probably getting a telling off more so that he's going to be confronted because he still has to answer to everything that he's failed at in in the previous episodes. So
I'm definitely looking forward to hearing what you'll have to say about that interaction once it actually airs.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I might be grossly wrong. I actually enjoy being proven wrong, so this would be nice. But I'm interested also with Yasmin and Henry. I think Henry is under some allegations also, or etc. So I'm interested to see what that would be.
It
I
could be
know they're going to
Henry,
be,
it could be Lumi as well. I think for a lot of people the two things are one and the same.
but I was okay. Maybe I'm mistaking it. I don't know if it was the preview or just some general chatter I heard, which obviously these are all random predictions about Henry
Mhm.
being under allegations from people who worked for him.
Hmm.
So I don't know if that's going to play into things. I need to see more Yasmin, and I hope this is a good episode for Yasmin. I really love her. I ride for her. I'm a stan. I am Team Yasmin all the way.
Hmm.
As one would expect. I mean, no surprise there either. But yeah, I really hope I hope we find out about her father in the next few episodes as well. I like not knowing. My friend and I talked about it recently, and we were like, it's nice to have a show that you don't know what's going to happen at all, but that is actually a very nice place to be. And when you do
It
find out
is.
what happens, it isn't like an absurd kind of disingenuous to the character of the plot. It's like it's so fantastic when you find out. So I'm excited.
I agree. And I'm definitely looking forward to episode 5. But yeah, I think that's probably a good place to call it.
Yes.
I'm just going to say we're excited for episode 5. And I'm looking forward to seeing how people respond to it. We'll be here to discuss that, breaking it all down here on the Trading Desk again next week when we're previewing episode 6. And Bankole and Ayo will be back this weekend for a full review of episode 5 right after it airs. Definitely subscribe to our newsletter if you haven't already. The most recent article, or I guess issue, is an article on Harper and her hair and how the hair is indicative of how she feels at any given point in time. It's very academic yet somewhat hilarious. Shout out to Bankole and Priscilla for penning that one. The next issue of the newsletter will be coming out very soon, and yeah, we have a lot of special things coming down the pipeline, so keep it locked to the Popcorn for Dinner feed for the rest of the month and the year.